Hello and welcome to American Mogul. Today we are going to discuss what is better, renting a home or buying a home. Well, if you can't afford it, buying a home is in every way better than renting a home. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, I rent because if I get a job in a different area or I get sick of this area or for whatever reason, I can just pick up and go. Well, that's not how life happens. Most people who rent, it's because of their economic situation. If you cannot afford to buy a home, if your employment is not secure, if the economy is not conducive to security in your employment, then it is better to rent when you're not sure of the future. But if you are sure of your future and you can afford it, buying a home is always better. Always. Since, or in the last 40 years, let's just say, home prices have kept up or exceeded inflation. And right now we have some of the most heavy inflation you can imagine. I know what they say on TV. It's all baloney. Yeah. I know what these people are saying, but think about material costs that go in to a home. Lumber, drywall, electrical, plumbing, concrete, sheathings, brick, drywall, siding, roofing, shingles, or metal roof, whatever. All of that has gone up 80% or more. Plus, labor has gone up in the construction industry because so many homes are being, there's a record number of homes being built because it's a housing crisis. Yeah. But how many times have I heard that in my life? Housing crisis. Housing is in short supply. Housing always in short supply. Because of immigration, because of a lot of things. In this case, you have a pandemic that people don't want to put their house on market. People don't want to put their house on market not because they're afraid somebody come into their house with the virus. They don't know where to go. Everything has gone up. How can you leave your home to what? Buy another home the same or more expensive? Okay, you can go cheaper, but then you gotta go outside. You gotta go at least an hour away from where you're living, yeah, depending on the direction, to get a cheaper home. Let's talk about renting a home, yeah. Renting a home is not cheaper than paying a mortgage. Not in today's market. Maybe in the future, it might be. But renting has been since the feudal ages, yeah. The lords owned the land and all the buildings, and the serfs rented it from the landlords. That's why they're called landlords, because originally the lords of the state, of the kingdom, owned all the land. So, if you are transient, yeah, a person that likes to move around, renting obviously is the best, because if you buy a home, there are closing costs to selling a home. Yeah, you got to pay the realtor commission, you got all kinds of other little incidental costs, legal fees and stuff like that. Whereas if you rent, you don't have those. You just tell the landlord, depending on your lease, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Hey, I'm getting my butt out of here. Goodbye, Jack. Yeah. And you're done. Today's market is a strange one because there's not a lot of supply. So prices have gone up. Could there be a correction? Yeah, sure, there's always a correction. But you know what has maintained its value over the last 2,000 years? Property. Property has maintained its value and increased, right? In the 1970s, you could buy a home that today is worth $300,000-400,000, or in some cases million, for $20,000-30,000. Because as inflation goes, the housing market goes. And interest rates back then were much higher than they are now. So you have tailwinds to owning a home. Yeah. Now when you own a home, you don't buy it with the idea of selling it in a couple years. In my case, I bought a home about 1.5 years ago, and prices really skyrocketed in my area, so I sold it for almost double what I bought it. And now I bought another home. Yeah, actually I bought 2 homes. A summer home, which I'm paying cash, and a home for my family and I to live in. Yeah, because in these times, families have to come together. How long will this last? This situation that is going on right now. Who knows? They said we would be out in 3 months. Last year in March, they said by summertime we'll be done. Well, now it's 2021, almost middle of February, and we're nowhere near an end in sight, yeah? So you gotta imagine for another couple years this is gonna happen. Well, what do you, renting a home, yeah, we are talking about renting a home, not renting an apartment, right? People who rent apartment, they have a certain different attitude, yeah, or financial condition than people renting a home. People who rent homes, that's short term. Year, 2 years, 3 years. Maybe one of the husband or wife, or husband, wife and wife, or whatever it is, has been transferred by their work into that area, and they are renting because they don't plan to stay there. They plan to either go back, or the company has told them, after you go here, you're going to go there. So they rent, usually subsidized by their work. However, what is happening now? What is the critical change that has happened now? Well, since the start of all this, the work from home, or actually work from anywhere, has come into being. I mean, I worked first 5 years, yeah, I was designing, I was programming. I could have done that from the moon. Do you understand what I'm saying? I could have done that from the moon, never stepped foot inside. I could have done it from home, right? Just went in once a month to hand in my designs, or go in and with a floppy disk, because back then it was actually 3.5-inch floppy disk, store the program, drop it off, the programs for the week, and go home. Or the month, go home. But no, the owners of the company, the executives, want to see my pretty face every day. Yeah. Well, not so pretty anymore, but I was quite the looker back in the day. So anyway, all kidding aside, this is going to continue. It's not going to stop. Because there's 2 things, yeah. The head of businesses, the owners of businesses, they want to see you, they want to watch you work, they want to make sure you're not goofing off. But at the same time, they're cheap as hell, yeah? And if they don't have to pay for office space, it's like it's tearing them apart, yeah? The desire to save money and put in their pocket is just as strong as the desire to watch you because they think you're goofing off every second of the day. And slowly, that is changing, where with software, they can see what you are doing. Yeah. They can keep eye on you from home and not have to pay for extra square footage of office space. So, I think home prices with these low interest rates, which can never go up, the amount of debt there is in the world, you have to think, the amount of debt there is in the world, they cannot raise interest rates. Not because you can't afford it, or I can't afford it, or even businesses can't afford it, because there's enough zombie companies. But we're not talking about zombie companies. We are talking about zombie countries. Yeah? All major countries in the world are zombified. If you raise interest rates, they can't afford the debt that the government holds. They go bankrupt. Never mind corporations or you or me. The whole country will go bankrupt. So interest rates have to stay low. At the most, they could ever go 1.5%, 2%, maybe 3%. Yeah? But then the whole thing would come apart at the seams. So what would that do to housing? Well, if you rent, yeah, well, you got no worries. You got no skin in the game. Yeah? But when you buy a house, you have skin in the game. And you have to understand that those people who are renting that have no skin in the game, they are losing body parts as years go on. Because inflation is with us. It has always been with us. Things cost more because it's harder to get them. Yeah? It takes more productive capital to extract. We hit peak productivity in the 50s. Yeah, in 1950 to 1960, we hit peak productivity. As the world consumed more and more of our resources, there was less for that same dollar that was spent today. Yeah, so in 1950, if you invested $1, you would get $5 in return. Now today you have to invest $5 to get $1 in return. And I'm not talking about stock market with these crazy, insane marketplace. Yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about real world. Yeah, housing, whether to rent or to buy. In this marketplace, if you can afford it, you are way better off buying now than waiting. And I will tell you why. And you will think for yourself. This is my opinion. If market goes normal, there will be a 3 to 5% appreciation in housing prices. Broad base. Yeah? But in a marketplace where the central bank is pumping liquidity, monetary liquidity, the government is pumping fiscal liquidity, and interest rates are negative. Think about this. I've been watching in the last 2 years. I buy the same thing over. I'm a single man, yeah, widowed, and I live by myself. So I buy the same shit over and over and over again. I've noticed that what I buy, yeah, my weekly shopping is now 80% higher in a year. How is there no inflation? If my same food that I buy, same manufacturer, same store, same everything, is 80% more expensive now than a year ago. Isn't that crazy? That they say there is no inflation. Okay. We talked about building a home, that the material costs are 80% higher. In some cases, 100%, but we just say 80%. I noticed the same thing in food. It's amazing, yeah? 80% in construction, 80% in food. Now, how long before can government cook the books, yeah? They lie about everything. So let's say that it is not 80%. It's definitely not 1.5% inflation. But let's say 10%. Yeah. Would you agree that we have 10% inflation? It is more. Yeah. Go to shadow stats, you will see it is more than 10%. But let's just call it 10%. What does that mean? That means prices are going up 10% every year. And in 7 years, the price of everything will double. So, if you are thinking about buying, should I or shouldn't I, let's just call it $200,000 home today, how things are going, in 7 years, that house is going to be worth $400,000. In 14 years, that house is going to be worth $800,000. In 21 years, that house is going to be worth $1.6 million. Are you going to be able to save that kind of money renting? I don't think so. In today's environment, if you have to rent and you have no other choice, God bless you and your family. Stay safe. Don't do anything out of the ordinary. Just try and get by, yeah? And be as happy as you can be. However, if you can and you are hemming and hawing, deciding should I, shouldn't I, just jump in the pool. My God, man. Think about it. Every 7 years and 21 years, right? That takes $250,000 house, $250,000 to $500,000 to $1 million to $2 million in 21 years. Now inflation is going to skyrocket out of control. It is already out of control, but they are grasping at straws. The central banks are grasping at straws. The governments are grasping at straws, hoping that their zombie population will not wake up, that their sleeping beauties will not get kissed by the big hairy monster of inflation and wake up. Wake up, people. Wake up. This world is going to hell in a handbasket. Yeah? They're out of control. The central banks are out of control. The governments are out of control. And the only one who can control the future of yourself and your family is you. You have to make an educated decision. Look at the facts at hand. Okay. Let's say you lock in at 2% for 5 years. Never mind 30 years. 5 years, 2%. What do you know? That inflation is at least 10%. Yeah? At least 10%. So in 5 years, you're going to pay on that price of that home 2%, 2%, 2%, 2%, 2%. But the real inflationary rate is 10%. So the value of your home is going to go up 8%, 8%, 8%, 8%, 8%. In 5 years, the value of your home will almost double. At 8%, the value of your home will almost double in 5 years. So if you don't like being a homeowner, sell it and double your money. If you rent, right, that same home, it's going to cost you because you have to pay utilities, you don't have to pay property tax, you don't have to pay insurance. You still have to have some sort of insurance on your stuff, but you don't have to pay the house insurance. But you're going to pay roughly $20,000, yeah? So instead of being up $250,000, you will have spent in 5 years $100,000 in rent, minus opportunity cost. Yeah. So, yeah, go ahead. If you have the means to buy a home and you decide to rent, your shit out of your mind. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Look in the mirror and say, that person in the mirror has a mental irregularity. This is tough love, yeah? This is tough love because humanity is on the brink of disaster. And the only thing you can do to protect yourself and your family is for somebody to stare you in the face, like myself, yeah, and tell you, in my opinion, if you have the means to buy a home right now, get off your ass and go buy it. Don't wait for the market to pass you by and leave you and your family indigent. Yeah? And also, for those who rent and have no other choice, my heart goes to you. And I pray that one day you will be able to have an affordable home. Yeah? And that you be happy where you are. And that your family be happy. I have nothing bad to say about anyone who is renting. If that is their situation, then God bless them, yeah? However, for you who can afford to buy a home and choose not to, it is irresponsible behavior for yourself and a crime against your family, because you are going to waste an entire lifetime trying to catch a market that's taking off from you. Do you hear me? Do you hear the words come out my mouth? If you can afford to buy a house, if you're not out there actively looking for a home, you are out of your freaking mind. Because this market is not going... Look, I understand what people are saying. That when the moratorium and on foreclosures, there's going to be lots of houses. Do you know who the biggest owner of residential homes are? BlackRock. Yeah? You know who BlackRock is? A big hedge fund, yeah? Big investment firm. They own over 80,000 residential homes. You know who else? Grandpa, son of a gun, Warren Buffett. He also owns God knows how many, 40, 60, 80,000 homes, maybe over 100,000. Yeah. These big investment firms, they are not stupid. If you might be able to scalp one at auction, but you are got to fight against these big dogs with all the money in the world, and they are waiting for this to happen. However, those things blow over quite quickly. The housing crisis of 2009, bottomed in 2012, 3 years later, and prices have constantly, and now they're 50% over the top of the market in 2006, 2007. If you can't afford it, buy a home right away as soon as you can. Protect yourself and your family. Yeah? The choice between renting and buying a home is only by the economic means that you possess. If you don't got it, you gotta rent it. If you got it, go buy it. You hear what I'm saying to you? Do it now. Okay? In my opinion, it's do it now. Don't wait. Do it now. Yeah? Okay. Normally I don't get emotional, but you know what? When it comes to family and family formation, household formation, I am very emotional because I love people. And I'm a grandfather with 2 granddaughters, and I have my children, 2 daughters, 1 son. Yeah, they're all beautiful, wonderful. I love them. I love them. Yeah. And I think about them when I talk to you. Yeah. When I talk to you, I see you as I see my family. Don't wait. It's only going to hurt worse. The market's going to continue going up. Interest rates going to stay low for a long time. Yeah. Anyway, you make your decision. But in my opinion, a rental home or buying a home. Renting a home or buying a home. If you can't afford it, yeah, it is criminal not to buy it. May God bless you, keep you safe. Okay, goodbye.